without wasting any more time. So we'll chant the prayers before starting our online reading session of the Mode and Mission of Srila Prabhupada's book by His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj. Om Agyan Divirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vikasa Swami Nidhanamani. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyamadi Pashyate Deshta. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Mukham Karati Vachalam Gangayati Grimukprapadam Deshi Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Bhagishaya Savadini Lakshmi Dasa Lakshmi Sasti Hriday Sanditam Narsima Tasya Devi Parabhaktir Yatha Devi Tadha Guru Kasete Kasdaya Prakashanti Yonta Pravishya Mamachanam Prasatam Sanjeeva Yate Dashakti Dharasya Ramam Prana Namo Bhagavati Prashaya Jagru Harivanya Krishna Chitta Vishudha Priti Yehanda Sansara Puta Vajana Sukabda Majina Samsashu Vikas. So we are continuing to read from the book The Mode and Mission of Srila Prabhupada under the section Srila Prabhupada's Success, Part 2, section. And say global outreach, local development. By sending newly recruited Western devotees to every region of the planet, the Krishna consciousness movement rapidly expanded. But Srila Prabhupada discerned that for Krishna consciousness to take root in any place, local people would have to take it up seriously. Wow. Yes. He saw the recruitment of local men was crucial to the success in every new frontier. As he advised an American devotee stationed in Africa, by your own work, you can recruit men locally. That is the best process. So immediately resume the preaching work among the Africans. So immediately resume the preaching work among the Africans and show yourselves as always meek and humble and refrain from a tough attitude. Okay. Always show yourself. Okay. Show yourself as always meek and humble and refrain from a tough attitude, and in this way gain their confidence. Gradually, you will recruit men locally and they will be able to share the responsibilities. Our process is slow but sure. Not that we must do everything immediately and then later regret it. Many of our big centers started with only a handful of men, and because they were determined to expand by recruiting the local men, that has been their success. Although in many cases, reinforcements were dispatched to bolster the original team, Srila Prabhupada did not see it as the best long-term strategy. That one has to get men from another country is not a good policy for preaching work. One has to create manpower from the local environment. That is the success of preaching. Yes. In the West, in the United States, most of the ISKCON temples, I'm telling my experience over here in the United States, it is by the Indians, to the Indians, for the Indians. Most of the ISKCON temple centers are to the Indians, by the Indians, for the Indians. Very few here and there you find old Westerners coming, Prabhupada disciples, some here and there, but mostly it is everywhere. You turn around, there are Telugu, Tamil, Gujarati, Marathi people everywhere, nook and corner. Very few local people, they cannot connect themselves. It's a very sorry affair. Hare Krishna. Best thing will be to recruit devotees locally. That is the success of preaching work. Instead of importing devotees, it is better to attract devotees from your own area. Bengalis are coming from everywhere to do puja, this, that. Why? Because local people have gone. Local men, so we'll continue. Local men must understand our philosophy. Then it will be very successful. We cannot import men from outside. We sincerely want the local men will We sincerely want that local men will take on the work. So in Krishna life, there are so many, at least four devotees from Atlanta. Local devotees, at least three, four. Avani Hoda, Ali Krishna, Jitagirish, and I think one more, two, three Matajis. Instructing an Australian pioneer in Indonesia to try to make local men into devotees, Srila Prabhupada underlined that the real business is to convert the local men to become Krishna conscious and carry on the work. Citing his own example, my policy is not to import devotees, but to create devotees out of the local men. That will be better. I did not import any Indian devotees when I first came to your country. He also cited the failed efforts of his god brothers in this regard, referring to the 1930s. Some of my god brothers wanted to take men from India to London, but the attempt was a failure. But when I trained local men, then it was successful. You have to manage with the local men. Bon Maharaj was a failure in that he could not get the local men. Practical reasons for this policy. Relying upon devotees from outside to come is not a very practical business. It is better to recruit some local men and train them to do the work. Okay. I want to cite this one example of one ISKCON temple where I went, wherein all the devotees are from Bangladesh or from West Bengal. Mostly and they are preaching in an area called in Hindi area. And local public couldn't connect to them. Every time they used to get the comments from the local temple that they are Bengali temple. It has become famous like a Bengali temple. For years it was like that. Slowly, some Hindi speaking local devotees joined, and then slowly they have improved. But otherwise, for many years, it was just lying. It was just like a hole everywhere. The lectures, the kirtans, everybody was like, of course, they are not bodily conscious people, but this is happening. Sending devotees there is one thing, but why not create devotees? To send devotees from here or anywhere else is more difficult than to create devotees locally. Unless we get local devotees, it is difficult to maintain. So try to maintain the center with local devotees. That is my urgent desire. Recruiting locally makes the local position stronger. Centers should not be should be as far as possible manned by men who are native to the country. That will make our position even stronger. Just as in the USA, all you men have managed. From our experience, we have found it is always in the long run more stable and a better situation if local people can be persuaded to help from the very beginning. Wanting new outposts to become solid, Srila Prabhupada insistently pushed this point. What is the reason? No local men are joining. That is wanted. Then the center will become strong. No. What is that? Then the center, there will become strong. You asked me how to recruit strong devotees to come there. You have to prepare strong devotees, not to import them. You yourselves become strong devotees and teach others by example. Importation is not a good plan. Everyone should be strong by behavior and action. Desiring that local people both join and become strong by behavior and action. Srila Prabhupada further envisaged them taking on the mantle of leadership and development to a devotee asking if he could go to Mexico to learn Spanish for opening centers in South America. Learning Spanish is a difficult job. Wow. How can you learn? I am very much enthusiastic about expansion of our branches, but if it is not, but if it is dependent upon learning Spanish, don't take this adventure. Oh, Krishna. Maharaj wanted us to go to Bolivia. Come on properly. We should serve Krishna with whatever talents we have already got. However, you are still very anxious, very much anxious to go there. And if you think that you should be able to get along without knowing Spanish, then you may go there immediately and push on this movement. The idea is to recruit active speakers who also speak English to translate and be trained for administering things locally. You simply organize everything and instruct them, and gradually they will take over full management. Although wanting that management, everything should be done locally by local men. Srila Prabhupada specified that they should come to the proper standard before they take the responsibility of expanding the movement. If local people come and join and take initiation, then we can consider developing. Simply lip sympathy will not do. They must be regular disciples, follow the regulative principles, and they will develop it themselves. Okay, Shamkun Prabhu, please continue to read.
Other factors in Srila Prabhupada's success. Further factors, manifestations, and corollaries of Srila Prabhupada's pure devotion and his dedication to fulfilling the mission of his Guru were his clear understanding of the purpose of life and his determination to transmit that to others. He had a real sense of who he was. This was not someone in any doubt. He was there on behalf of his spiritual master. He knew what he had to do, and he did not compromise his one pointed commitment to fulfill his mission, knowing it to be the mission of his Guru, the previous Acharyas and Krishna.
Sorry.
The, the resolve to vigorously propagate Krishna consciousness all over the world distinguished him from his god brothers and from all other contemporary Vaishnavas and invoked the full mercy and blessings of the predecessor Acharyas by unceasingly inculcating his disciples this dedicated sense of mission. Srila Prabhupada gave them purpose, direction, and energy, fostered among them a spirit of dedication and unity, and enabled them to put aside personal considerations in a combined effort to achieve seemingly impossible goals. The enthusiasm that he personified and infused in his disciples was a crucial factor. Our whole Krishna consciousness movement is depending on this enthusiasm. Just like I went to your country. At the age of 70 years, nobody goes out of home. But there was enthusiasm. Yes, I must go. And because I went, there is something. We have got the information. His selflessness. As Hari Das observed, he has no personal interest at stake in what he is doing. He is simply making an honest attempt to deliver the message of the Shastras and the predecessor Acharyas, and to establish the unequivocal fact of the existence of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna conferred all spiritual success upon Srila Prabhupada precisely because he was not trying to be successful in the worldly sense by acquiring wealth, followers, and fame. Na dhanam na janam. His only aim was to satisfy Krishna. Reciprocally, Krishna showered wealth, followers, and fame upon Srila Prabhupada, who dutifully offered back to Krishna all that he received. Krishnarthe Akhil Cheshta. His policy was always everything for Krishna and nothing for me. The distinction between himself and so many other sadhus. They are simply exploiting, and our mission is to give. That is the difference. His desire to deliver the whole universe, born from his genuine compassion for all living beings, is personifying the humility and tolerance enshrined in the Trinadapi verse. Without this mentality, he wrote, we cannot be successful. These qualities manifested in his dealings with every person and even non humans with whom he came in contact. His very presence had a charm and magnetism that sprung from his purity of heart. As Giriraj Swami happily recalled, My parents.
No, no, no.
It was
I think
said of
this
the
is the one.
six.
Yeah, this is the one. Yes.
It was said of the six Goswamis. धीरा धीर जन प्रियो प्रिय करो निर्मत्सरो पूजितो. Chad Goswami Ashtak first. They were popular both with the gentle and with the ruffians because they were not envious of anyone. Whatever they did, they were all pleasing to everyone. Srila Prabhupada demonstrated the same qualities. He reciprocated with scientists, preachers, managers, and book distributors, even my parents, so perfectly that they all were pleased and satisfied. He was gracious with everyone. Sarva Bhavan Das summed it up. How can you not love such a person? Among the other factors that Srila Prabhupada attributed to the success of his mission. Because these American boys and girls are cooperating, this movement is advancing. Another, due to your solid logic and scientific presentation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction that Krishna consciousness will spread to every town and village throughout the world is gradually being realized. He commented, that is the secret to success, utilizing our God given energy to please Krishna. For all this, it might still be a wonder how uncouth Westerners could take Krishna consciousness so seriously, whereas very few in India, for all their knowledge and culture, came anywhere near their level of commitment. Srila Prabhupada's analysis. The spreading of the Hare Krishna mantra in the West has become successful because the young people were not offenders. The youths who joined this movement were not very advanced as far as purity is concerned, nor were they very well educated in Vedic knowledge. But because they were not offenders, we could accept the importance of the Hare Krishna movement. We are now very happy to see that this movement is advancing more and more in the Western countries. We therefore conclude that the so-called Mlechas and Yavanas of the Western countries are more purified than offensive Mayavadis or atheistic impersonalists. The ultimate key, sincerity, that of Srila Prabhupada himself, and with which that he inspired in his followers. Everyone is astonished. Without any help, I started. The only asset was sincerity. Otherwise, how is it possible? Let us perform this movement sincerely, with faith in Krishna, and people will gradually appreciate our service. This Krishna consciousness movement is based on sincere service to the Lord. We shall always remember this, and then success is assured. I am sure if our aim is to serve Krishna sincerely and the spiritual master simultaneously, that will be our success. If we are faithful to Krishna, Krishna will help.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Uh, Karthik, can you read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Part 5. The Hare Krishna movement. While of referring to the Hare Krishna movement, Srila Prabhupada indicated that he meant it to be dynamic, based on practical activity. Like Krishna in the Gita, A.C. Bhaktivedanta preached a gospel of action to his followers, something to actually do, pray, sing, dance, but not merely talk. Srila Prabhupada wanted his disciples to be selfless workers, performing tangible devotional service to push on the mission, for he knew that bringing Krishna consciousness to others would require immense work. To implement this transcendental bliss to the people of your country, this is immense work to be done. There is immense work to be
There is,
done ahead.
there is immense.
Yes, by continually stoking his disciples' enthusiasm, Srila Prabhupada spread the Krishna consciousness movement exponentially. ISKCON was built on the sacrifice, dedication, and surrender of Srila Prabhupada and his followers. He inculcated within them the principle of this movement that every member and worker must learn to sacrifice for God's sake. Paradoxically, devotees who have dedicated their lives to the service of the Lord can achieve substantial results without working very hard. These results exceed the devotees' expectations. Srila Prabhupada explained, we can practically see how the devotees who have dedicated their lives for the service of the Lord in the Krishna consciousness movement are getting immense opportunities for the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without working very hard. The context is that devotees do not partake of the mammonistic philosophy of work very hard and enjoy sense gratification, which simply leads to frustration without undergoing any kind of distressful labor. Devotees attain the highest bliss. Another angle is that compared to the difficult austerities other transcendentalists undergo, the process of Krishna consciousness is simply joyful.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Aditya? Aditya ji, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Business, sorry, yes, Prabhu. Busyness,
Ah,
and
yeah,
working
busyness.
hard.
Yes.
Rejecting dreamy sentimentalism in the name of devotion, Srila Prabhupada translated the word bhakti as devotional service rather than simply devotion and stressed that devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practically activity, the sign of spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada wrote, is to be working very hard, yet aspiring for still more work. He explained why. In the material world, we want to minimize our activities and take rest more. But in the spiritual world, there is no rest and there is no limit of activities. Krishna is unlimited. His service is unlimited, and the energy of his service servants is unlimited. This Krishna consciousness is so nice that the more one works and renders service, the more he becomes enthusiastic. This is the secret of spiritual life. The test of spiritual life is when one can work all day long and not be tired. In the material world, we do a little work and become exhausted. 24 hours we should be engaged in some service to our capacity. That is real spiritual life. Such busyness, every moment engaged in Krishna's service is full samadhi. A pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or read books about Krishna, or sometimes he cooks prasada or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna, or sometimes he washes the temple or the dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is in full samadhi. Being habitually busy and striving to get things done are traits not usually associated with sadhus. But Srila Prabhupada had a different understanding. Saintly persons, at least in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, are not meant for ideal life. They are always busy for the welfare of the whole human society. This is the sign of a saintly person. People are misguided and suffering, and it is the duty of the saintly person to instruct them how to become really happy and make their life successful. This is a saintly person. A saintly person doesn't mean living at others' expenditure and do all nonsense things, declaring that the whole movement is meant for rendering service. Srila Prabhupada wanted his disciples to work hard to push on the mission, to do practical, solid work. Srila Prabhupada molded irresponsible and irregulated hippies into industrious and productive servants of God. He liked to see them work hard for Krishna. I am very glad to see when you work so hard for Krishna. That gives me much pleasure. I want to see that you are always busy. That will give me pleasure. Always keep busy. That I wish to see. When a well wisher suggested a monetary investment to Srila Prabhupada with the promise that if it's successful, your devotees won't have to work so hard to collect money. Srila Prabhupada replied, I want them to work hard. Pushing devotees to work hard was not just to get things done, but also to lift them to the platform of unalloyed spiritual surrender. Srila Prabhupada assured his disciples, those who work hard on behalf of the Supreme Lord becomes very dear to him. Responding to Srila Prabhupada's demands, his followers imbibed the spirit of working hard for Krishna. In a typical ISKCON temple, there was so much to do. Every day was a volcanic eruption of activity.
What a phrase. Okay, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanvatmanam.
Hare Krishna. Atindriya Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Peaceful
Namaskar.
thought for verses. Huh?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Chapter 2, peaceful thought for versus active engagement. Yes, Prabhu, please read.
Chapter 2, Peaceful Topper versus Active Engagement. Distinguishing devotional service from the placid contemplation often associated with spirituality. Srila Prabhupada clarified that bhakti is not inactivity. Bhakti is all active, specifically devotional service. Devotional service means to be always engaged in Krishna's service. Having entrusted to Guru Das the tremendous challenge of building the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada instructed him that Krishna consciousness is not always peace of mind, because in the mood of the gopis, we are always trying harder to serve. Srila Prabhupada disparaged the easygoing life akin to that of animals without any higher purpose. Without labor, without difficulties, you cannot achieve anything higher. That is not possible. Easygoing is not good. Easygoing is for animals. Eat, sleep, drink, and die. That is easygoing life, cats and dogs. Whatever capacity they have for eating, sleeping, sex, and depending, that is all. They do not know anything more. Human life should not be easygoing. Human life is meant for tapasya. A laid back approach augurs ill for advancement in Krishna consciousness. An easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. Particularly, a preacher cannot live an easygoing life. For a preacher must face many impediments. Not only is he sometimes cursed, but sometimes he must also suffer personal injury. Don't think preaching is easygoing. Eating, sleeping, and sometimes chanting Hari Bol. That is not preaching. We must be ready to implant Krishna conscious ideas throughout the whole world. Warning that Krishna's service is not sitting idle. Krishna wants to spread the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita everywhere. Srila Prabhupada cited his own Guru Maharaj in condemning the life of peaceful bhajan. Lord Chaitanya ordered you, Prithvi te ache yata nagar adi. Why don't you go? How are you Indian? Therefore, my Guru Maharaj condemned this policy. Mana tumi kisera Vaishnava? What kind of Vaishnava are you? Pratishtharatare nirjane ghare. Simply for cheap popularity. Oh, he is a Vaishnava. He is chanting. If there is no preaching, there is no botheration. You can sit down and show people, I have become a very liberated soul, and chant and meditate. That means sleeping. This sort of business is condemned by my Guru Maharaj. Pratishtharatare nirjanera ghare tava harinam kevala. This is this is simple cheating. He did not approve this kind of business. He did not approve. Rather, service is the first consideration. Without service, what kind of Vaishnava are you? Not that we are just sitting down and chanting all day. Without constant engagement, devotees cannot progress. They will be caught by Maya. One should always remain active in Krishna's service. Otherwise, the strong Maya will catch him and engage him in her service. The devotees of the temple must keep themselves engaged, otherwise, they cannot make progress in Krishna consciousness. Maya is very strong, and as soon as there is an opportunity, Maya will attack. Therefore, everyone should be very careful against the attack of Maya. The only effective defense is to always remain in Krishna consciousness. There must be engagement. If one remains idle, then it will be a devil's workshop. Immediately, Maya will dictate, do this nonsense, do that nonsense. By keeping his disciples fully engaged in Krishna's service, Srila Prabhupada afforded them protection from Maya and lifted them to the spiritual platform. Our Krishna consciousness movement is an attempt to engage everyone always in spiritual activity, by which one becomes transcendental to material actions. And if it is thought that those sitting peacefully are more advanced devotees meditate upon him by active service. Genuine Bhajanandis are indeed highly advanced, but imitation is something else. Those chanting Hare Krishna all day long in Vrindavan are Krishna conscious to the lowest standard on a material platform. We cannot imitate Haridas Thakur or Gaur Kishore. If we imitate, we will simply sleep and think of money and women. And to those disciples who might anyway want to simply chant, Srila Prabhupada offered a concession come challenge. And if you think that, no, I shall simply chant, all right, you chant, but don't sleep in the name of chanting. Don't cheat. Cheating is not good. If you think that you can chant like Haridas Thakur, then you simply chant. We shall supply you food. There is no anxiety, but don't try to cheat. You must be engaged. Yet, Srila Prabhupada's real desire for his disciples was that they shun peacefulness and instead welcome risks. We are not interested to merely sit and chant and live a peaceful life. We want to take risks to push on this movement. Wanting his disciples to remain engaged in active service, Srila Prabhupada assured them this would be most beneficial for their spiritual advancement. I want to see that all my disciples are engaged 24 hours in the service of the Lord. We should be always engaged in active service. Then, some way or other, our mind will be engaged in Krishna's lotus feet. This Krishna consciousness is so nice. The more one works and renders service, the more he becomes enthusiastic. This is the secret of spiritual life. Constant remembrance of the Lord's name, fame, qualities, and so on automatically nullifies the reactions of all vices and invokes the blessings of the
Vices,
Lord.
vices, all vices.
Vices and invokes the blessings of the Lord. This constant remembrance of the lotus feet of the Lord is possible only when one engages in his active service.
Okay, we are in another chapter. So shall I continue for another
Yes.
10 minutes or it is fine? We'll stop here. Stop here. I don't have any thought. Okay. What devotees think 8:30 to 9:30 is good, or 7:15 to 8:15 is good, or 5 to 6 is good?
8:30.
Okay. Okay. Anyhow, I'll put the poll today. We will decide. So we'll stop here for today, as promised, as kept in this one. Constantly changing is also not good, and we will meet tomorrow at 5 to 6. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सन्देभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जगद्गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय. His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj ki jai. The mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.